Well, good morning, good morning. Michael and Israel here with another Tech Tuesday. Doesn't look like service is too busy down there. We don't have too many boats sitting around waiting to get pulled in. But that's sarcasm, guys. For those of y'all that can't pick up on it, if any of you've driven by, I know I get a lot of folks that'll stop in. How much are all those boats sitting out there? Well, most of what you see sitting out is service boats waiting to get pulled in. So now is the time. We talked about it last week. Now is the time. Call and get your service scheduled. And that will make it a lot easier to make sure that boat's ready when we finally get to a stable, good weather.
I think we're getting there.
I think we are too. Hey, good morning, David. How are you? So, as always, if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. If you're watching on a shared video, if you're shared post in a group or something, then make sure you click into our post and drop the question there. That's what allows us to be able to see the comment live, and we'll do the best we can. I think you're playing a little injured this morning, right?
I'm hurting pretty bad right now.
You've been staring at too many Yamaha.
No, I got injured like I always do, sleeping.
All right, who can relate?
Yeah.
You start
one of the lovely attributes of being over 40. Things break while you sleep. So.
Well, yes, that is. I know. I'm there with you.
Yeah. People might think that I'm trying to show my chest off here, but it's the only position I can be in right now that doesn't hurt. So you just have to bear with.
Morning, Timmy. No questions
with my
today.
strutting. Yeah.
Just enjoy listening whenever I can. All right. Well, if y'all don't have questions, I found a few that hopefully will bring a little bit of value and answer a few things. So, guys, again, I'm going to start with what I've got. Y'all jump in at any time if you've got questions about stuff. Then we'll try to get to it. All right. Let's see if you can see this one. A Yamaha 150 didn't get a year on it. 152 stroke. Was checking the compression, and this is what I found. All the others are 120.
And what does that
get?
Can you read that gauge?
That looks like about a
zero or 50 pounds or something.
Yeah, really low.
Yeah. Well, I call that a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and typically I don't know what it is, but a lot of these engines I've known, especially Mercury's, they like to blow up on the port side.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's just, I don't know. I think it's just the placement, maybe how hot that cylinder gets. But even the Yamaha seem to do it too. They're like number 2 and number 6, and that's what I see a lot of. But I've had several, in the middle as well. But it's a lot of them on the left side. I was rebuilding a motor last week. And I was looking for a cylinder head because all the cylinder heads that cylinder head got messed up real bad. And so I went into my little junk trailer to get a cylinder head, and I found like 8 starboard side cylinder heads and 0 port. So I was like, that tells me something right there.
Interesting. Well, wonder why the port side. That's
And you would think it's because it was the high cylinder of all of them, but it's not. It's number 2 is on the port side.
I'm sure they don't track all that data, but it'd be interesting to see if Yamaha's got any data on that. But all right, so can we quote a price on a new engine? Not right here live, but we do have a guy named Larry Davis. If you give a ring or shoot a text up here to the shop. He's actually been working from home since COVID. It's worked really well, but his whole job here is selling loose motors, and I know he does very good at that. Whether it's you want to get it shipped nationwide or get it set up and arranged, and he'll work with service and get you set up if you need to do a swap out. But yeah, we don't have all the stuff here, and unless you've got all the motors memorized on the retail prices.
I always tell people less than 30,000.
Well, I don't know. We're getting close.
Well, I guess it
If
depends
you want
on
one of those 450s,
yeah, 70 something, 80 something thousand.
but that is what we definitely can get you stuff. Which actually that brings up. Let me give you an idea. I got a couple of photos from around the shop just to give you an idea. This is our beautiful. This is just a portion of looking at our motor rooms. You see a lot of Yamahas and Mercuries in there. Now, I will say that from a sales perspective, a good number of those Mercuries I know are reserved for going on our pontoon boats as we get those in, because well, we don't want to end up with boats and no motors.
That's right.
So, yeah, and this is, you can tell it's getting to be summer when you go down. This is a rigging department, and you can see we're filling up with the pontoons down there. So still pushing bass boats through, but that's
There's probably pulling in a bass boat when you were standing there.
Yeah. So, all right. So I hope. Sorry, can't give you an exact price right now, but like I said, give a shout. And if Larry's not available and can't get in touch,
you get to a salesperson.
then yeah, we got one of the other sales folks. They're more than happy to help you out. So, all right. This one's another. Let's maybe that's a visual difficulty. Here's one. Maybe Timmy will get something out of this. Lithium. So this is a Skeeter lithium question. Thinking of buying one for an FXR 21 cranking battery. Currently having issues with the original. Question is, can they be hooked up the same current and charge from the motor, as well as the Minn Kota Precision factory charger? Would prefer not to have to add additional chargers and so forth. So, another lithium question.
Well, with the SHO, you have to run either power pole charge or lithium pro, not lithium pro, but Impulse Lithium has a add-on distribution block thing, geezer. I don't know what they call it, but it's supposed to function similar to a power pole charge, but it uses your current charger.
Okay.
So, and I believe those run somewhere in the 450 range for one of those add-ons, maybe something like that. It's kind of a new product. I've only had one of them because he's had so many orders for them. So I'm looking probably to get 3 or 4 more in soon. So you can still use your current charger, but you have to have a way to disperse, because those lithium batteries have a computer chip in them, and they don't bear the load of the engine as well. So
Okay.
the rectifier that's on those engines, or even the alternator, they can't put enough voltage back to ground to keep the volts regulated below basically 15 volts. So it starts pushing the voltage up to about 16,
Okay.
where the computer on the engine's going to shut down because it thinks it's about to be damaged.
Gotcha.
So you'll find, and I ran into this kind of early on with the lithiums with one of the guys that got sponsored. He was going down the lake, and by the time he hit 5,500, that sucker shut off on him. Constantly. He could stay under that and it'd be fine, but I noticed that the voltage it took it to the river, and the voltage was spiking up to almost 16 and a half volts. So the power pole charge distributes that voltage across all the batteries, so it's able to throw it to the batteries instead of trying to bleed it off to the ground on the engine.
So while we're talking about lithium, I was talking with one of the guys that's fishing one of the national trails, and he mentioned, obviously kind of the theme for a lot of trails this year, and whether it's been Texas or Florida, has been super cold temperatures. Mm-hmm. And the problem I've not really heard about, but apparently there was somebody, and I have no idea which brand lithium it was, but it got so cold the battery
Quit working.
Shut down on its own.
Mm-hmm. Lithium is very sensitive to cold weather.
Okay.
extreme cold weather. So they do make a bilge heater that's not, it won't damage your equipment, and it just basically keeps the ambient temperature with the little door closed around 45 degrees. And as long as you're above, 42 degrees, I think you usually don't have a whole lot of problems.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. Tell me when. I know you swapped out some new batteries. No lithium, still too cost prohibitive.
the one thing I will say about a lot of the lithiums is as long as that company stays in business, a lot of them have anywhere from 7 to 10 year warranties.
Right.
So that is a plus. But if we've been just swapping people's stuff out, but in a lot of cases you got to send your battery off.
Yeah.
If it weren't for us having a lot of stock, we would probably have to send your battery off and then it come back and you're down a battery. And I've actually had some batteries that were going for 6 months at a time before we got them fixed. So.
All right, Tim, I see your question on the kayaks. Before I do that, David, I am running a little behind on getting through some of those prizes and getting that stuff out from Fish Fest. I do apologize. I have seen your message in there. Try and get that taken care of this week. I appreciate you, and I don't want to keep you waiting on your missile baits. So we'll definitely get some stuff in the mail. All right. What size battery are folks typically using in kayaks that have the Torqeedo and trolling motors? So I'm going to throw some info
50 amp hours?
Well, so the 54 amps is very common that you're seeing for the trolling motors. So two different. So when you're talking about Torqeedo, most of the motors that you're going to get from Torqeedo are going to come with their own battery for a kayak. And that is the preferred way. It's all integrated. It's got GPS. It connects with the throttle that gives you your distance remaining and all that kind of stuff. One of the other benefits with the Torqeedo battery is that it actually allows you to basically go down to almost zero charge. Whereas some of these other, even if you're using another lithium brand, you may be limited to only getting down to about 20% ish of usage of that battery. If you're hook up to a lead acid, then you could be upwards around 50 to 40% out of that battery. So that's the way Torqeedo works. They're able with their own battery to make it a lot smarter. The downside of that is that battery is a unique European. It's all built in Germany. Unique European voltage and all that kind of stuff. So about the only thing you can do is charge your cell phone. Probably your GoPro. You could probably hook that up, but you can't run your graph off of that battery. So you end up with two batteries. As far as trolling motors go, most guys are running a 12 volt of some kind. Very popular when you want the GPS. It's the Tarova is what we've put on several, and then Motor Guide's got their 36-inch 12 volt, and I think that 54 amp hour is about the minimum that you wanna run. I mean, depending on how much you want to get out of it on the day, but you certainly have plenty of guys that are running 100 amp hour batteries with the lithium. I mean, I have not seen many kayak guys running anything but lithiums because the weight is just, it's such a big deal when you're dealing with kayaks.
Power to weight ratio is a lot better.
So, and I think there are some people that are looking at I'm sure somebody's put like a 24 volt trolling motor on there and bought one of the single 24 volt trolling motors or single 24 volt lithium batteries to get you. But I mean, even at 12 volt Tarova 55 pound on like the Blue Sky, I mean you're still getting 4.5-5 miles per hour, but I mean most of the benefit you see out of that is the ability to have that spot lock and move easily through an area. So I don't know.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And weight is the limit too.
Yes. But if you go back and look at Lance, who was with us at Fish Fest, I think he's running 4 different battery setups. He's got some dedicated because he's running, front facing. I think he's a Lowrance guy, so he's got active target, so there's a lot there. So, yeah, that's the kayak stuff is an interesting. You're starting to see things that are dedicated for the kayaks, but up to this point, a lot of it has been DIY and figure out what you can do.
Yeah.
So, but that all said, for motors, a lot of guys are running either a 10 amp hour or a 23 amp hour battery to run a graph. So you get the Hobie with the pedals or a Jackson, and you can get out there and
graphs will
run that graph.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if all you're looking for is a little side imaging, you want to get that fancy with it. But yeah. So I don't know if you've got any more with the kayak stuff.
Yeah.
The battery stuff is getting to be some real interesting conversation, I think.
I don't even want to put a motor on one because I'd have to register it.
Yeah. So, yes, David, the kayaks. I love the Torqeedo. I've got one on my kayak, and it does make me feel lazy, but that's all right. I enjoy it. So if I really want some exercise, I can paddle or pedal.
That's right.
All right. Let's see what else I've got. Where was this? Okay, here's another good one. I think live well problem. This was on a Skeeter Fished High School tournament down at Choke a few weeks ago. By 2, I had fish starting to float. Constant water pumping, oxygenator on, water temp was 62. Can the oxygenator go bad or cause problems? Never had any fish dying. And then he added in there, he put G-Juice in around noon, all in 5 feet in shallower water. So, and obviously there's some discussion on treatment of the live well and all that kind of stuff, but from a systems function standpoint.
Yeah, I know the oxygenators can react to certain chemicals, and I think the Rejuvenate has adverse reaction to oxygenators, the little fizzy ones. G-Juice, I think, is supposed to be compatible with them, so I think you're doing everything right. What I would do is keep an eye out. If it did it again, you may have a contaminant in your live well that's killing your fish.
Have you seen an oxygenator? I mean, those fail?
They can fail, but usually they're in this kind of weather. You don't even need them yet.
Right.
So if your fish are dying in cool weather, that means you probably have some kind of contaminant in your live well that's killing your fish.
What do you recommend as far as flushing out your?
I don't have a recommendation.
Gotcha.
Because I don't fish. I guess I need to get hip to that jive. But there's probably some stuff out there to search that information. I would not be your guy.
All right. Well, you just fix the parts. So and I think
I'm not one of those folks that try to come up with an answer. If you don't have one, if I don't know, I just don't know.
I would definitely say from I think you probably got a lot of different opinions and techniques on how to clean your live well. So there's
yeah, I'm sure there's some good info out there.
But all right. How long have we been going? 22 minutes now. Clorox or soap.
But make sure it's all out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kill your
Yeah.
fish.
If you use.
And don't use your live well as a restroom.
Yes.
That's good advice I've heard.
Yeah. There's
no matter how bad your wife needs to go, right?
Yeah. Let's see if you can see this one. This one I'm not sure. Doing the water pump on an F300 Yamaha, lifted the plate off and see the seal. Is there supposed to be a spring in that seal? No remnants of a spring were there. Any idea off the top of your head?
Well, number one, there should be a spring on it, around it. And there should also be, there's this little buffer seal that goes over that seal that sits against the plate, and I don't know if it's been removed or not, but that should be also there. And that keeps it from forcing water into that seal, the lower unit.
So if it's not there, is it because someone failed to put one there at one point, or
it's possible, or I mean, it's also possible it could have come out and got hung up in something. And I've seen them from the factory without them.
Interesting.
Lower unit's never been off, and somehow the seal piece got knocked off the lip. So it's not a total detriment. It just helps kind of keep the seal from distorting.
Okay.
And puts a little pressure on it. But there's two there, which is a redundancy that Yamaha has. So more than likely, it's not going to fail in a short amount of time. Long term, it probably be best to replace that seal.
All right. Let's see. Last one I got from the Avid group, installing a Garmin 93SV on the 19FS. Anyone have pics of the transducer mounting location and how you ran the wires up the transom? Have you played with rigging out?
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of different. There's a lot of different places you can mount stuff. I prefer, like, there's runners there, and you want to get to one side or the other of a runner, and you don't want to go too far to the right because you start getting up out of the water too much.
Right.
There's a lot of turbulence further out that you go, and you don't want to get too far in towards the motor, the engine, because you'll start aerating the water that's going into the water pickups. And don't mount it on the bottom of the boat, because I've actually had a Ranger come in several years ago. They put a side image on the pad, the running pad. They bolted it right to it, and I didn't even know it because we took it on a test drive, and you'd be driving and you'd get it up on plane, and suddenly it would just fall on its face. It'd fall off the pad.
Wow.
And so I had to take it back to the shop. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And I look under there, and sure enough, there's a LSS2 Lowrance huge side imaging transducer folded upside down on the pad, screwed in.
Yeah. That. Well, I'm impressed that it hung in there.
You get some good imaging when you're sitting in the water, but not when you're up on pad.
I know. I don't know how Matt Herron did his this year, but I know the last few years he's done.
He's got somebody that makes a bracket for him.
Yeah, he puts it on that jack plate, and
he doesn't use one of those side ones. He's got it right in between, and he has a bracket built. And I was going to build it this year, but the guy that normally does it for him ended up getting him one, and he just puts it right, on the in between the plates.
Right.
And it sits there pretty good. So
looks like it's pretty well protected.
Yeah.
So, pretty. I guess running wires and all that kind of stuff in the Avids. That question was
Very
specific
tough.
for the Avids.
It's a pain in the butt. So I have found that if you remove one of the seats, if you remove the seats out of it, and then there's like about 6 screws you can take, and you can actually pull the seat pan off, and it exposes the fuel tank.
Yeah. And
you can get to stuff so much easier that way. So I'm learning a few things. The FS is still super hard to get stuff through, especially the shorter ones, because they put the console right on top of the removable plate that's no longer removable.
Yeah.
The longer ones, you can get that plate off and get to everything real easy. But we have to go to some extreme lengths to get things run in some of those boats. Yeah.
Well,
Ranger's still one of the harder ones, though. Because they foam their gunnels. And so if you
you can't just run it right through the foam?
So if you got a huge connector, you've got to do some challenging things to get it where it needs to go.
All right, guys. I guess we're gonna get back to our Tuesday, and
I'm gonna go sit on the massage chair.
Yeah, go
for my lunch break.
Go get better. We got boats waiting outside to get worked on.
I was feeling pretty good this morning too, and then I got out of bed and I was like, whoa.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us, and appreciate the questions. Hope y'all have a great Tuesday. Hope you get to get out on the water some this week, it's nice to see some beautiful weather. And for those of you guys that get out and do the fishing thing, maybe it'll be a little more comfortable for the angler. I know the last, especially for the weekend anglers, I think somebody was saying the other day, it seems like Mother Nature hates us because it seems like we go to the apocalyptic weather on the weekends and have beautiful weeks. So maybe you can talk to your employer and work the weekends and go fishing in the week.
Yeah, right.
Or just quit and go fishing.
That's it.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great afternoon. We'll
Thanks,
talk
Tim.
to y'all later.